In today's captivating chess video, I am thrilled to unveil a series of astonishing maneuvers and strategic traps that arise after the initial setup of the e4 and e5 pawns, followed by the development of the knights to f3 and c6, and embarking on the audacious move c3. Let's explore the intriguing Ponziani opening, a chess strategy where white aims to establish dominance in the center by advancing the d4 pawn. In response, black often employs moves like knight to f6, pawn to d5, or bishop to c5, which are popular choices in this particular opening. Let's examine each option individually. First, let's focus on black's move knight to f6, which targets the pawn on e4. We respond with pawn to d4, and now black has three possible choices. They can capture the e4 pawn, capture the d4 pawn, or attempt to defend the pawn, for example, with a move like d6. If black captures with the knight, we advance our pawn further. Retreating to b8 is a wasted move, while going to b4 results in the knight being trapped. More often than not, black opts for e7, allowing us to reclaim our pawn and creating a unique alignment of the three knights on the board. Now, in this position, what would you play as black? Consider it carefully. Given the concern over the knight in the center, a natural move that comes to mind is d6, attacking the knight and opening up the diagonal for the bishop. According to the database, around 90% of players choose d6 in this position. If your opponent also plays this move, they can pack their bags and go home, as this game won't last long. We initiate with bishop b5 check, and no matter how black blocks it, we will finish them off. For instance, if black plays bishop to d7, we capture the bishop, and after recapturing, their queen is lost, leaving white with a clear advantage. Returning to the previous position, a logical move for black would be to block with c6. We capture the pawn, and if black captures our knight, a forced sequence of moves ensues where we first gain the rook, then capture the knight, and ultimately take the queen as well. This advantageous sequence leaves us in a completely winning position. Now, let's consider an alternative scenario. Instead of capturing the knight, if black takes the pawn, we respond by capturing with the knight. After the ensuing exchanges, we achieve a three-way fork and ultimately capture the knight. At this point, white is leading by a full knight and a pawn, firmly dominating the game. In this position, there is a possibility that black tries a cheeky move like queen to b6, simultaneously attacking the bishop and attempting a mating threat on f2. However, there's no need to worry. We can easily counter this by repositioning our knight. We defend the bishop, block the checkmate threat, and unleash a discovered check on the king. After black blocks the check, we capture the bishop, forcing the king to move and denying it the right to castle. With an extra pawn and a superior evaluation in terms of king safety, pawn structure, and piece activity, white enjoys a significant advantage of almost 6 points according to the engine. Anyway, let's go back and explore more intriguing tricks in this opening. We have already seen how devastating it can be to face opponents who play d6 in this position. What if black plays knight to g6, opening up the diagonal for their bishop? Surprisingly, this is actually the best move for black in this position. By offering to exchange knights, they exploit the undefended knight on d4. However, we have a clever trap prepared instead of simply saving the knight. We play bishop to d3, attacking the black knight. If black takes the bait and captures our knight, we happily take their other knight. Therefore, black might try to outsmart us by opting to take the pawn instead. This move attacks both our queen and rook while simultaneously opening up their king's position. It seems like a reasonable choice, doesn't it? But here's where the trap springs into action. We don't care about the knight capture. Instead, we let them capture our queen if they desire. In return, we capture their knight. After they take our queen, we deliver a check, forcing their king to move. Our other bishop swiftly joins the attack, and with the king exposed, we shift our focus away from the queen. We go after the big fish. Knight to c4 check, forcing the king to c5, the only legal move. Now, we simply play knight to a3, defending our other knight. Black cannot take our bishop because b4 results in checkmate. And if they consider eliminating our pawn, bishop to e3 delivers a checkmate. At this point, black is in a hopeless position. Any other move they make allows us to capture their queen, and their knight will soon follow suit. Moreover, their king is completely vulnerable. The victory is within your grasp. Now, let's imagine that in this position, your opponent realizes their mistake and decides not to capture the queen. Instead, they opt to take the bishop. In response, you calmly capture their knight, leaving you up a full piece. It's truly an amazing trap, isn't it? Alright, let's go back and explore further possibilities. Now let's explore an interesting line from black's perspective. After white captures the knight, we push our pawn forward. The typical response for black is to find a way to save the knight, but there's an alternative approach. Black can play bishop to c5, sacrificing the knight. After white takes the knight, we deliver a powerful bishop f2 check. The king moves, and the bishop can retreat. Despite white having a slight material advantage, black has favorable chances of winning, especially with the exposed king unable to castle. So this is a promising option for black to try against the Ponziani. Now, let's examine a few more traps that white can set in this opening. Instead of capturing the pawn, black can directly play d6, adding a defender. A well-known line unfolds as follows: d5, the knight retreats, bishop g5, posing a threat to force the knight's movement. If black falls into the trap and greedily captures the pawn, we unleash a brilliant tactical idea with queen f4 check, a fork that leads to the loss of the knight. What if, in this position, black decides to capture on d4 instead of retreating the knight? In response, we push our pawn forward to threaten the knight. We further attack with our queen and ultimately recapture the pawn. Although the material remains balanced, I would prefer to play this position as white. Thus, even if your opponent plays intelligently, you will always hold a slight advantage as white. Now, let's return to the initial position of the Ponziani. We have explored the traps after the most popular move, knight to f6. However, even if black chooses a different move like d6 or bishop to c5, our plan will always revolve around pushing for center control with d4. There is one exception, though. If black plays d5 in this position, it is best for us to bring out our queen to attack along the diagonal. The idea is to defend the pawn, pin the knight, and exert pressure with moves like knight to e5. We aim to develop our bishop, castle on the king side, and launch an attack along the e-file with the rook. This is how you can shape your game based on black's moves. Nonetheless, the Ponziani is an opening you should definitely explore. If you successfully trap your opponent using these tactics, feel free to share your games in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with future videos. Take a moment to check out the other videos appearing on your screen right now. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care and peace.